Hey Sainers, just starting up the review live, wait for a few people to tune in and then we'll get into it. Obviously everyone's watching from home, so hopefully a few extra people tune in, and if you've got something to say, good or bad, about the game, comment your thoughts and we'll run through it. I'm just getting up the full-time stats for the players and team. Very curious to see how these numbers look, because watching the game, I watched the game before that, the Collingwood-Geelong game, and I thought, geez, that's just a game I'll never want to watch again. But then watching this game, despite even winning, you're like, nah, I'm not going to think about that game. I'm not going to watch highlights. I'm not going to watch the replay. It's not even worth it. You know, we got the chocolates, and some people will say that's good enough, and that's what, you know, a big win is still 4 points. You know, it's as much a win as a 20-point win like we got. But I'm not really feeling that way. I'm really disappointed. I'm really, upset that we didn't go for the jugular in the last quarter in particular. We were 43 points up at three-quarter time, I believe, 80-37, and you'd think, okay, well, if we can blow this out over 10 goals, despite not playing our best, we get a bit of percentage back, we might get over 100 points, the players learn how to kick goals again, and just get some possessions into players that have been struggling. You know, get the ball to Caulfield, get the ball to bloody Brad Hill, get it into his hands, try and isolate Max King one out and just get him clunking the ball and getting his confidence up, because there's so many players across the field that don't look like they have any confidence. And if you're ever going to get confidence from a game of AFL footy, you're going to get it against North. And so many players in weeks gone by against North have had big games. Josh Bruce, for one, kicked 10. Career best, 10. And teams have smacked him. But we chipped the ball around in the last quarter. We took the foot off the gas as if, you know, that was good enough. It wasn't good enough. You know, we needed to go for more. We've gone up to 11th on the ladder from the wins. I'm going to try not be too negative, because we did win, but it's just classic Saints that when we lose, we tell them, okay, try and contain the loss and don't lose by a lot. But then when we go and win, we want them to win by a lot, but then they go and not want to win by a lot, and they just take the foot off the pedal and take it easy and let North outscore us by 4 goals in the last quarter. That's the highlight of the game, is that we coasted, but against a better team, we would have been in trouble. And that's the one emotion I'm feeling right now, is that, were we really that much better than last week? Was that really, was there an improvement on our gameplay? Our intensity was there. You know, tackle-wise, I'm not entirely sure how many tackles we laid. Let's double-check, because last week I think we laid 46 tackles. And this week, where is it? We laid 78. Okay, so a massive up on tackles. North laid 52, so we've smashed them there. But what was a bit worrying was that we were dominating in the clearances. We were plus 10 in the clearances. And by the end of the game, they had more clearances than us. So they decided to work harder towards the end of the game. And maybe that's because we took the foot off the gas. But why are we doing that all the time? When we're getting done, we let teams run all over us. And then when we're on top and we have a chance of thumping a team, we don't. We rarely thump teams. And that's partly why our percentage is so bad. It's not only because we've copped some smashings, but because when we're in a position to go for the throat, to really smash teams, when they're done, we either miss easy goals or we take the foot off the pedal and we're just happy to just win. That's good enough. Not winning by a lot. Not embarrassing teams. That's what really good teams do. Look at the Bulldogs last week against us. They could have been okay at halftime being 50 points up. They could have just said, well, the game's done, no injuries, let's just take it easy, chip the ball around and be done with it. But no, they wanted more. You know, when they got to 100, they got to 110, 120. You know, they just wanted more. But that's probably enough for me in terms of negatives. I'm sure many people are going to comment about a couple of players in particular that were a bit of a worry. But in terms of highlights, I thought Ryan Burns was pretty good. He kicked his first goal in AFL football, which was great. I thought his overall game was really good. I don't know what he ended up finishing in terms of 12 disposals. But every time he got the ball, he was very clean with it. You know, there were some kicks where they were just low darts, like, you know, just kind of just over the opposition's hands to intercept, and he hit the target. So I think that he's one that's, you know, locked in his position into the team. And Clavanero, I thought was okay, without being amazing. He did a few nice things, a few intercept marks. I thought Caulfield, it was an improvement. It's the first time this year where he's really taken a few marks and run off his man and tried to use his feet, you know, whether he's running and trying to get some speed back into his legs, or he's actually kicking the ball over 40 metres to a target on the lead. And then the other one I thought was an improvement, and I don't think he kicked a goal in the end, but Josh Battle, forward. That's what I've been calling all year, and that's something that we've talked about in the podcast. I bring it up every week, asking and questioning why the hell are we playing him on the wing? Why is he at half back? He's a damn forward, and if Max King's not taking marks and not working hard enough, you need someone there that's going to do it. Battle didn't really... Well, I don't think he troubled the scoreboard. He might have kicked a couple of points. But every time the ball went near him, he was pushing his man off. He was physical. He deserved a couple of goals. He didn't get any, but he was working. And that's what is good to see. You don't like seeing players that are just jogging and expecting things to happen. He actually works for it. And I'd rather him working close to goal than on a wing where he's not going to be as damaging. And obviously Dunstan coming in, he had 26 disposals, which I think was the most of any Saints, equal with Brad Crouch. And the most promising thing was he had 13 tackles, so the most on the ground by any player, more than Jack Steele, and Jack Steele had 12, so he had another massive game as well. Meters gained 431, 84% on ground. So Luke Dunstan, despite a lot of people saying that they didn't want him in the team, and I was one, and I thought Bartel deserved to stay in the team, he's at least come in and rewarded the coaches with their trust of bringing him in. He's dominated in the VFL, and I know it was against North, but there's a few players in our team that are on much bigger money and haven't had the chances that Dunstan's had this year, and they didn't do anything with that opportunity. But Dunstan came in and he worked hard. I thought he worked really well with Crouch. I thought both of them on the inside were really good. Crouch had 26, so 52 disposals between Crouch and Dunstan. He's had 10 tackles, so between Dunstan, Crouch and Steele, you've had over 30 tackles. So that's nearly half of the total tackles of our team were from those guys. So those are probably the biggest highlights for me. I thought Tim Membry was great all day. He kicked a couple of goals. He worked really hard, had 17 disposals. He took, how many marks did he take? He took 5 marks, but he just worked really hard, especially early in the game. And I thought it kind of set the tone. Well, what I hoped would be the tone for the day was just to keep working and getting reward. But yeah, the last quarter is probably the one thing that sticks to mind that, damn, we really should have gone for them there. They made so many mistakes earlier in the game, North. And I just saw a comment there. Mason Wood, he did what he came in to do. He kicked 3 goals. Backed up his 4 or 5 that he kicked in the preseason against North. It's his best game for the club this year. He had 18 disposals. He had 8 marks. He led up all day. He was honoured a lot. And, again, similar to what I mentioned with Dunstan, there are players that have got more skills and are getting paid more money and have had more chances in the starting lineup that didn't do anything today. So, some people are going to say Mason Wood, great. He kicked 3 against a shit team, but there were other players on the field that didn't do anything against a shit team. That's the most worrying thing for me. But the positive is we got the win. Whether that gives us confidence or not, I don't know. It's hard to tell. A lot of people think that even when we were singing the song after the game, it wasn't really full of energy, and maybe the players felt that they kind of slowed down in the last quarter and they missed an opportunity to get some more percentage. But you could find many disappointing things about the game, but probably the most disappointing was obviously Brad Hill, 6 disposals, Max King, 8 disposals. Max King's probably just spent. I think he probably needs a rest at VFL level. He looks like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders every time he gets the ball, and it's like he's afraid of getting the ball because of that. He just doesn't want that responsibility right now. And whether that's, you know, something we want him to just fight through and learn to deal with, or Rats has to just say, mate, you know, you're just struggling with all this pressure, being Max King wearing the number 12. Saints fans think that you're going to kick 10 every week, or hope that you're going to kick 10 every week, especially against North. To be honest, I thought out of all weeks, this was the week to just have him one out in the 50 and bomb the ball to him all day against Mackay, and him take marks and kick goals. And he was almost a decoy. You know, the commentators were even saying, you know, it's not... We had Billings coming out of the square, and I thought Billings started really well, but we even had a moment where Seb Ross was deeper than Max King. So I don't know what the logic was there with the forward line, but it seemed like out of all parts of the ground, that's the one part where we don't really know exactly what our structure is. Just that, yeah, you know, is Max King going to come out of the square? Is Membry the dedicated forward? Is Battle going to stay there? Is he going to go back to the wing? Is Billings going to stay forward? Is he going to go into the wing, go into the guts? Is Higgins going to rotate midfield as well? We don't really know what the starting lineup is there, and it just constantly changes, and whether that's because we're not happy or the players are just trying to work it out themselves during the game, I don't know. But we kicked 12-16. It could have been a bigger margin and a bigger score if we had a kick straight. But it's just the last 10 minutes that I think we need to really watch in the review and to learn why did we let the game, you know, why did we let them get back into the game? Because there's going to be better teams that get momentum and they're going to do the same thing. We need to learn how to cope with it. And if we struggle to cope with it against North, we're going to struggle to cope with it against, you know, Sydney next week, for instance. They use the ball very well. They're very good inside 50, and they'll hurt us a lot more than North did tonight. But that's my 2 cents. I'm happy that we won, obviously. A win's a win and takes us to 11th. I think we're only percentage out of the 8. We're equal with Richmond. So there's a lot there to grow from. But really, we're starting from the base right now. And even Joycey in the podcast said if we win by anything less than 20, it's you know, it's more like a loss. And I'm not going to say that, but yeah, it would have been nice to get some percentage. If you're going to cough up 111-point losses last week and you want to make it up to the bloody fans, well, you try and win by 111 the next week. And in that last quarter, you could tell they weren't going for the throat. They didn't want to kick more goals. They were just happy with where the game was at, and they just wanted to get it done. And that was it. So we end up winning by 20 points. But let's get into the comments. I'm just going to load them up on the computer. So give me a second, guys. All right, let's have a look at what you guys are saying. D says 5 more minutes and we were gone. I wouldn't go that far. Who comes in for King if we do decide to rest him? I don't know if we really need another forward. We've got the likes of Membry and Battle there. You might try to go with the 2. But knowing us, we're probably going to persist with Max and hope that he turns it around on his own. And yeah, like you just mentioned, we don't have that much depth at Sandy anyway, so there's no one really to come in and take the position, even if we wanted to play 3 talls. So we're probably just going to persist with Max until the bye, and then if Rowan Marshall's fit, maybe we give him a rest then, or we just fight it through until the bye, and he's got that week off during the bye, and hopefully that's enough for him to get some confidence back. But you don't know, if you drop him and he plays at VFL level, is that really going to be the catalyst for him to getting momentum back and getting confidence back? It does for some players. For other players, it's really just making it at AFL level. So I'm sure that's a conversation that they've already had, or they will have with Kingy. You know, do you want to stay and deal with that pressure and find form at AFL level? Do you think you need a spell and need to go to an easier division and just to kick a bag and to get the feel for the footy again? Because some players need that, some players don't. So I'll be interested to see what we do with him going into next week. But last week I mentioned he was on the bench a lot of the game, and tonight we just weren't looking for him anywhere near enough. So I don't know. It seems like a directive from the coaches. It just doesn't seem like the game plan right now. I don't know why we're playing him if he's not going to be the focus. He's Gary Lyon kept saying, he's a generational forward. He's going to be a very good player for us. I don't know why we're not isolating him against the worst team in the competition. It just seems like you know, if we had Rewalt or G-Train against this North team, you're guaranteed the 50s theirs, they're going to kick 10. But tonight we had Billings and Ross and we were going for Battle Long and not going for our best young forward. So it just, yeah, raises more questions than answers at the moment. Gurav says, how can they kick so bad at AFL level? Mate, I don't know. That Jack Higgins miss, I don't know. And Josh Battle snapping it from about 10, 15 metres out when he could just... He's usually a beautiful set shot, but everyone's so obsessed with this stupid snapping from distance. Just kick it straight. But are coaches even telling players to do that? Or are coaches just letting players do whatever they want? I saw someone very dedicated tonight, obviously watching it from home, taking photos of every Saint leading up to their set shots and taking photos of the way they are holding the ball. And so many players are holding the ball with one hand lower than the other on a weird angle, spinning the ball, holding it on an angle. Just didn't look natural. So I don't know what's going on there. 2 years ago, Tim Membry was a dead-eye dick and he couldn't miss. Now he misses every shot, he kicked a couple straight tonight, but he does miss more than he kicks. Max King was beautiful kick last year and couldn't miss, and he's missing a lot this year. Josh Battle's another one that's usually a beautiful set shot, and now even he, I don't know, he just doesn't look that comfortable around the goals. But whether that's just everyone's out of form and low in confidence, I don't know, but I just feel like you need a player there when a team needs goals to just take that responsibility and to be able to kick through the ball. And you look at Josh Bruce on last night, I think he's kicked 26-5 for the year, Josh Bruce. He's going at over 80% kicking efficiency. And with us, he was always a 50-50. Now he's at the Bulldogs, something's clicking, he can't miss. So whether we just don't focus on it at training or we focus on it so much that players are just overthinking it, yeah, I don't know. It's either one or the other, really. It just doesn't look natural when we take shots. Zach says, a good side punishes another side for their mistakes. We do not have that killer instinct. North gave it to us on a platter and we let them stay with us and we never put them to the sword. I agree with that. North's skills were atrocious, especially in that second and third terms. The third term, I thought we kind of got going and we got over 40 points. And I thought, okay, if they keep doing this, we're going to win the last quarter and probably win by 10 goals and it would be a comfortable win without really doing anything decent in the game. But that, missing all those easy chances they gave us in the first half, it kind of, they made up for it by kicking straight in the last quarter, and that's why the margin was only 20. If we had to kick straight early on and put them to the sword early, they probably don't have the will or the confidence to go for it in the last quarter and to bridge the gap. And maybe by then they would have put the cue in the rack and we could have gone on and won by a lot. But that's the position we always put ourselves in. When we're playing really good teams, like Geelong 2 weeks ago, you need to kick straight to be in with a chance to put scoreboard pressure on and to worry good teams. And we didn't do that and we lost that game. Tonight, again, we didn't do that. We didn't put enough scoreboard pressure on early. And we were just, I guess, a bit lucky that, that North also didn't punish us on the turnover when we made mistakes until the last 10 minutes. And by then, we had the game kind of at least, good enough to be 40 points up and then they just bridged the gap to 20, but it wasn't close enough that they could worry us and win the game. But against a better team, yeah, you'd think that we probably don't win that. Cam says, first time ever saying this, but I genuinely think Hill and King finally need a week off. Yeah, like I was trying to look for excuses for both of them, but they both spent like 80+% time on ground. So they were on the ground for a lot. I was wondering, was Hill injured? What was going on there? We played him at half back. It didn't work. The commentators were ranting on about how he was being tagged, but I just don't see how that's possible. I don't think he's been tagged at all this year. So, and if he is, we need the leadership to take that tag off him, for a player to bump the guy who's tagging him and let Hill run through and give the ball to him, but we weren't looking to do that. And it doesn't look like Hill or King are really working hard enough to find their own ball. They kind of just want the ball kicked to them, and they don't really want to work hard enough for that. So, and that was the one takeout from the game, was that King, when the ball's within reach for him, he's not gut running, he's not sprinting, he's not chasing, he's not demanding the ball. But with Battle, that's the comparison I make is Battle didn't kick goals tonight, but he was gut running, he was chasing, he was using his body, he was being physical. He looked like he wanted the ball. Whereas King's just kind of like, I guess I'll go for that. I guess the ball's coming in, I'll go for the mark. You know, he just doesn't look like he really wants to be out there at the moment. So I don't know, you know, whether that's just confidence or he's completely stuffed and he needs a break because he's only 20, he's a light frame, he's taking big hits from big senior defenders from opposition teams. It's going to wear him down over time. I don't know if we need to give him a week off, but we'll see going into next week. Catherine says, Rat should ask Max, do you need a break or are you happy to push through? I agree, he's scared to be brave because there's so much expectation on him to smash it each week. Need to encourage him to be brave, but at the same time, not be overconfident. Yep, good comment there. It's just, you're going to keep it simple with young players like that. We forget that he's only 20. It's only his really second full season playing AFL football. So yeah, I think an honesty session would be fine. And I'm sure they had it last week, so I'm sure it's an ongoing thing with Max. They should know that he's got that pressure. It's not like some secret. I mean, every second day he's in the newspaper. People are talking about his goal kicking, his form. When is he going to dominate? Wearing the number 12. He is the most talked about St Kilda player at the moment, apart from maybe Brad Hill. So both of them really need to be asked, what's going on? What do you want? You know, and some answers need to be found. Christopher says, awesome to see you calling it like it is, mate. Thanks. I know some people are probably upset that I'm not super positive, but I've had games where we've won and we haven't played great and I've been positive, and I get a lot of comments of people saying, mate, it wasn't a great win. You're delusional. There's more issues than not. And tonight I'm being a bit more negative simply because there were more issues. I thought there were more issues than good in that game, and that's the way I'm going to call it. I'm happy that we won, but I'd be very delusional to say, God, that was beautiful, we're back in form. I'm sure there is not one person watching this live right now that would say, we're back. You know, it wasn't like, even 3-4 weeks ago, look at the Hawthorn game, the way we played. It was great. We used the ball well. We were clinical. We kicked over 120 points. We beat them by 60. And it was a 4-quarter performance. Tonight was nothing like that. I guess that's the one thing I'll say, is that to anyone thinking that I'm negative about this, go and look at the Hawthorn game and how we played in that game. Polar opposite to this game. And Hawthorn are as bad as North right now, you know, so just go and look at that game. Simple as. There's no VFL being played yet. Good call. So I guess that means that we're going to be very limited with the changes we make, whether we make any at all. I think Bytel deserves to come in, but the way Dunstan played with Crouch and Steele and Burns playing a good game, I don't know if Burns is going to get dropped, and I don't think we're going to drop another. We had Highmore, Caulfield and Clavanera, so I don't know if we go into the Sydney game with all three. But again, I doubt we play another inside mid in Bytel if we've got Dunstan, Crouch and Steele going through the middle with Seb Ross as well. That seems very slow, very one-dimensional. I don't think that's the way we'd want to go. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the coaches do at the selection table going into the Sydney game. Alan says, average at best. Our skills and enthusiasm is very poor lately. AFL players should be able to kick easy goals, but we struggle each week. Yep, straightforward. Neil says, we've also not mentioned that Mackay played a great game on King. Yeah, Mackay was good, but, you know, last year King was playing on some very good defenders and he was making them look silly. But I just don't think that, you know, if King gets on his bike and he's leading at the ball and he's demanding the ball, Mackay's going to be no chance. Mackay's good because we're just bombing it on our forwards' heads and all the defenders have to do is bang, bang, bang. It's like Dukes. You know, Dukes is great when the ball's bombed into his opposition player. He's going to punch it out. That's why he's number one for spoils in the comp, because he's always there when it's on their head. When a forward leads, you see Dukes is a bit of a worry there. He doesn't get close enough to them. He gives them that 1 or 2 meters and they get him on the break. But you just feel like the same with King. If he gets on his bike, he's going to get a lot more set shots. He's going to get a lot more of the ball than if, you know, we just hope that we bomb it to his head and he marks it. And that's, you know, not something you want to do when he's only 20 and he's got a light frame. It's also very predictable for defenders. Paul says, need to find form against Swans and Crows and get back to wins because we're a long way off even if we make the 8 by the end of the year. That's a good point. You know, we're percentage out of the 8, I think, but form-wise, we're more than that. You know, even if we make the 8, we want to make the 8 with form, with a method that we know is going to work in finals. I don't want to just make up the numbers. I'm not there to do that. And I know the players aren't there to do that, and Rats isn't there to do that. We didn't do that last year. We made finals, we won a final, and we did okay against Richmond, who eventually won the whole thing. This year, form-wise, there's no sign that even if we made finals, we'd be able to win a final, and that was kind of the bare minimum for me, was to make finals and then win a final again. So form-wise, we're a long way from that team, but there's still time to find form. I guess that's the best thing. We've got Sydney again. It would have been a marvel. It looks like it's going to be moved to Sydney, so that's going to benefit them. And then we've got Crows, and that's, I think, in Cairns, followed by the bye. So hopefully after the bye, when we get, I think we play Collingwood and then Richmond at the G. Hopefully by then we get crowds back. We'll get Rowan Marshall back. Hopefully Dan Hanbury finds you know, he gets fitness back and he gets fit again. Because he's been out for the whole year. So if we can get some players back, and hopefully that will help us find form, but who knows, Paul says, I feel we need Rewalt back down there as forward coach. Someone's got to teach King to lead and run laps around their opponent. A lot of comments about King tonight. Alex says, Battle played a great game. Keep him up forward. Yes. Keep Josh Battle forward. If King's not having a great game, at least we've got another young forward there to work with. He's better than King at using his body. He's very physical. He's bigger. He's stronger, and he's more enthusiastic. And I feel like, yeah, he's a lost cause on the wing, but it was good to see today. Pretty much after quarter time, he was a dedicated forward, and if he wasn't marking the ball, he was creating a lot of chances at ground level, and he didn't get outmarked, and that's a really good sign for Josh Battle. And I think if you could ask him on a personal level, Josh, where do you want to play your football? He would want to play it up forward. So I'm glad that we gave him a shot there. And he didn't kick a goal, but he had generated a lot of chances. So hopefully that's something we persist with going forward. What are your thoughts on Rats coaching from the bench? That's from Philip. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't get the full picture from the bench. I don't know if it's just during this period where he needs to generate some enthusiasm. He needs to tell players, you know, at a face-to-face level what they're doing when they come off the bench. Maybe he doesn't really trust who's on the bench to deliver that message. I know Roughhead's been on the bench too, and usually Rats is up in the box. At least that's what they did last year. But this year, Rats is spending a lot of time on the bench, and I think that's primarily just to keep the energy going and to keep to deliver the message straight from his mouth, and not to have, you know, call someone on the bench and then they deliver it and maybe they don't really deliver it the way Rats wants to. So communication is very important in football, especially during quarters from coaches, and I think that's probably the one reason. If we were in form and we were winning games every week, I guarantee Rats would be up in the box and Roughhead would be doing that. But I think just because of, you know, this lack of communication on field and lack of synergy and chemistry, I think Rats is down there to kind of manufacture that a little bit off the bench. Dan says, highlights, umpire getting hit by football. That was amazing. Geary's courage and mark. That was immense from Geary. Burns, Bytel, Crouch, Steele. Those were positives. I'd throw Dunstan in there as well. Lowlights, umpire still missing very basic free kicks. And obviously King and Hill with the lowlights. Yep, good call there. Radley says, Jake, I'm happy you're being realistic. We want good commentary about the team, not blind optimism. Pump them up when they're good and be realistic when they're not. Yep, thanks for that, Radley. That's what this channel's all about. I know a lot of people are happy with the loss, happy with the win, but they know that there's a lot more there that we need to improve on if we want to make finals. And that's the thing. like I said, we're not here to make up the numbers. If we win games, I want to see improvement every week. I don't want us to just win games and then sneak into the 8 and get pumped in the first week. That's not what I'm all about. I want us to, even against North, you want to see a style that will stand up against a Brisbane. Because you look at Brisbane, they're thumping good teams. They played GWS, who've been in good form. They've beaten Port. They've smashed a lot of good teams recently. Richmond, for one. They should have beaten Geelong. You know, since that Collingwood game where they won after the siren and they didn't give up, they haven't looked back. And that, you know, I guess at the time you'd think that was a good win. Now you look at Collingwood and they're terrible. But maybe that could be something for us, is this win, hopefully long term, can be a change of direction for us. But we thought that against against West Coast when we came from behind. We thought that against Hawthorn. We thought that against Gold Coast when we came from behind. Hopefully this is the bloody win that changes things for us. We can't have a win this week and then we play Sydney and we get done again. That's just not going to cut it for Saints supporters at all this year. We need to deliver every single week. If we lose but we die trying, that's fine. But if we get pumped again, you know, the season, we will lose it. We will absolutely lose it. I don't want to see a 40-plus loss for the rest of the year. I'm calling that now. I don't want us to see him losing by more than 7 goals for the rest of the year. Big call, but if we want to make finals, we can't afford to lose more percentage, because if we're winning games like today and we're not making up that percentage, we can't afford to lose more than what we've already lost. It's just realistic. Sam says we're not good enough to clear space into the 50 to let Max lead in the first place. That's fair call. Although, you know, we saw Billings lead, we saw Battle lead, Membry was leading a couple of times. Players were looking for them, but maybe we're not looking for them enough, you know. And it's true, you don't see Max King leading, but I feel like there's just more, I don't know, the lack of structure in that forward line still needs work from a coaching point of view. So I think it's on the forward line coach to get that working a bit more. Dunstan's earned his spot going forward. That's from John. Yep, he'll play next week. You can't have a 26 and 13 tackle game and be the #1 ranked player statistically on the ground. He had I think he finished with 140 fantasy points. So that's almost Brownlow 3 votes, you know. And I think he got the 3 votes against North in round 1 last year. So he loves playing North, but it's just good to know that he backed it up and played with intensity from start to finish. So credit to Luke Dunstan there, great game. Sinclair was very good as well. That's from Louisa. Yep, Sinclair's just continued doing what he's been doing every week. He's running, he's enthusiastic, he's energetic. He's doing what Brad Hill should be doing. Getting to contest, always overlapping, always going for that handball receive. Even if it's not there, he's running past, he's demanding it. And his field kicking's been very good all season. So Sinclair's, he's one of the highlights overall of this year, for sure. Get Shane Savage back in the mid-season draft. That could be handy. We're not Brisbane. Yeah, that's from Mark. We're not Brisbane, mate. But don't we want to be? Don't we want to be a top 4 team, a top 8 team, a team that thumps teams? That's what we want to strive to be. Last year, we only were less than a goal away from Brisbane. So, yeah, we're not Brisbane at the moment, but we want to be. We want to be a top team. So we might as well start having that mindset. Even if the skills aren't there, Mark, I want us to have that mentality of going for the throat. But we don't look like we want to smash teams. We just look like we're comfortable. We're passive. We're just, that's good enough. That's not good enough for me. And hopefully it's not good enough for you too. I want us to be going out every week, looking at our opponents, whether they're good or they're North or they're shit, and saying, we're going to smash you and we're going to put you into the ground. You know, that's what I want. A bit of grunt, you know, a bit of mongrel about us. Dunstan brings that, Crouch brings that, Bytel brings that. We're getting some players there to do it, but there's so many other players that are just, I don't know, going along with it and not really wanting to lay a tackle and not really wanting to make their self known in the contest. Elaine says, a win's a win. The best I've seen them play this year was against Geelong, except for the inaccurate kicking. Yep, that was the best we've played apart from maybe the West Coast second half, but that's unsustainable. The Geelong one was from 4 quarters and we should have won that game. That's the template. Brisbane built up mainly on the draft. That's very true, Ian. They have got some good youth there, but it's more the method. I don't really care about the players. It's just more the mentality. We talk about how football is, 80% above the shoulders, and I agree with that. And I think that that's our problem, is 80% above the shoulders. It's not so much the skills, it's the mentality and the attitude the players have. So hopefully, if we fix that mentality, the execution will just take care of itself after that. Julian says Sinclair, Claviniero, Burns and Dunstan are my highlights for me. Yeah, good call. It's good to see Burns, who's in his real first year of getting genuine football. Claviniero in his first game. Sinclair, who's backed up his pre-season talk of having a big season. And Dunstan, he's had his knockers, but he's had a big month at VFL level to come in, and then to back it up at AFL level is very important for him as well. And so, yeah, credit to all those players. Yeah, I agree with you there. Andrew, ending it on a positive. We'll go with this as the last comment of the live, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Positive Street, like Dunstan's game. Good to see him have a decent crack. Tackling machine, and when he hits a target, it's like, wow. That's true. But it's just good to see a player in the middle just push a player away, get the ball and get it deep inside 50 and not mess around with the footy. I feel like, yeah, he bombs it, similar to Gresham, but he's a no bullshit player. He gets it, he bombs it, he puts it in the hot spot. He doesn't want to tinker and go for a little 15-metre dart on the wing. He wants to get it in long, direct, and whether that's a turnover or not, I think that's a lot to do with the players ahead of the ball being prepared or being not prepared. But it's just good to have him back and to have him add some physicality to our midfield because, yeah, when you lose by a tail, you need to bring in someone else to bring that grunt, and Dunstan's made up for that by obviously laying 13 tackles and throwing his weight around for 4 quarters. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I appreciate everyone commenting. I hope you're all having a good weekend and being COVID safe and all that stuff. I know that the game wasn't really the game we wanted. We wanted to go out there and belt North. We wanted to kick over 20 goals and win by 60, 70 points, get that percentage back, get some swagger back, get some form back from all the players that have been out of form, like Brad Hill and Max King, and hope that they have big games. And obviously that just didn't happen. But we got the 4 points, and it's hard to tell how important this win is until the end of the year. If we sneak into the 8, we'll just say, well, that win was a turning point and that was important. And if we don't, we'll say that, well, if we miss out on percentage, we'll say that, well, that win, we needed to go for the jugular there and we didn't. But tonight I just felt like it needed to be just a very honest review. I'm not gonna gloss over it and throw positives your way without throwing some negatives. I'm pretty pessimistic as it is, like all Saints supporters, and you guys, would know that very well. But there are little things that were good, but there is still a lot to improve on. And obviously, if we watch the press conference from Rats post game, I'm sure he'll say that exactly that there was some good things about it, and there was a lot to work on. So I'll leave it there, guys. I appreciate you guys watching and sending stars, and obviously myself, Joycey and Marshy will talk through this in the podcast in great detail. I know Joycey and Marshy, just going by the conversations we've had during the game, were, less than complimentary about the win. So it'll be interesting to see their angles on the game come Tuesday when we do the podcast. But until then, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night and your Sundays. And I'll see you guys next week to preview the big game against the Sydney Swans. Take care, guys, and go Saints.